The sensor array flickered with patterns that made no sense. Ren leaned closer to the display, his three eyes narrowing in confusion. His ship, the Wandering Light, had been drifting through this forgotten corner of space for 6 cycles now, cataloging dead systems and empty rocks. This yellow star ahead was supposed to be just another worthless entry in the database. Commander, you need to see this. Pella's voice carried an edge of disbelief. She was the science officer, a veteran of 200 surveys, and Ren had never heard her sound uncertain before. He moved across the narrow bridge, his footsteps light in the ship's gentle gravity. The crew of 7 had been together for years, exploring the galaxy's outer rim where nothing interesting ever happened. Safe work. Boring work. Exactly what Ren preferred after his younger years chasing pirates through asteroid fields. What am I looking at? Ren asked. Pella's tendrils quivered as she gestured at her screen. The third planet from that star. The readings are impossible. Ren studied the data streaming across the display. Atmospheric composition showed oxygen levels that would ignite most organic compounds. The planet's surface temperature swung between extremes that should prevent any stable climate. Tectonic activity suggested constant earthquakes. Radiation from the yellow star bathed everything in harmful energy. Sensor. Malfunction, Ren decided. Run a full diagnostic. Already did. Twice. Pella pulled up another screen. Commander, there are life signs down there. Billions of them. The bridge fell silent. Their communications officer, Oren, stopped his idle humming. Even the ship's navigation system seemed to pause its constant beeping. That's not possible. Ren's voice came out flat. Nothing lives on death worlds. It's the first rule we learned as children. Pella manipulated her controls, bringing up visual scans of the planet's surface. The images showed vast oceans, green land masses, white clouds swirling in chaotic patterns. I'm detecting plant life, animal life, microbial life. The entire planet is covered in organisms. Ren felt his secondary heart begin to race. In 3 decades of exploration, he had never encountered anything like this. The Galactic Collective had surveyed 70% of known space. They understood how life worked. Gentle planets with stable climates produced simple organisms over billions of years. Complex life required careful, slow development in safe environments. This world was chaos. This world was violence. This world should be sterile rock. Move us closer, Ren commanded. But keep maximum distance. I want every sensor focused on that planet. The Wandering Light adjusted its course, sliding through space on silent engines. As they approached, more data filled their screens. The planet's gravity was nearly twice what collective species considered comfortable. Its magnetic field fluctuated wildly. Storm systems raged across its surface with terrifying energy. I'm picking up something else. Oren spoke up from his station. Electromagnetic emissions. Artificial patterns. Ren's third eye widened. Show me. The display changed to show wavelengths of radio signals bouncing around the planet. Hundreds of different frequencies. Thousands of distinct sources. Someone was broadcasting down there. Someone had built technology. Civilization. Pella whispered. On a death world, Ren made a decision. Oren, prepare a priority transmission to collective headquarters. Include all sensor data and our initial observations. Pella, I want every detail about this planet you can gather without getting closer. Life support. Check our shields and hull integrity. If we need to run, I want us ready. The crew moved with practiced efficiency. Ren settled into his command chair, his mind racing through possibilities. First contact. Protocols existed, but they assumed meeting species on reasonable worlds. Nobody had ever planned for finding intelligent life in hell. The hours passed as they gathered information. Each new discovery seemed more impossible than the last. The planet's oceans contained salt concentrations that would poison most collective species. Its atmosphere held trace amounts of gases that were toxic in higher quantities. Weather patterns showed hurricanes with wind speeds that would tear apart standard buildings, yet the artificial structures remained. Cities glowed on the night side of the planet. Agricultural patterns covered vast regions. Transportation networks crisscross continents. Commander, Pella's voice trembled. I've analyzed the dominant species, and they're bipedal, carbon-based, oxygen breathers. They look almost fragile compared to standard collective species, but their bone density is 3 times our average. Their muscle structure is built for that crushing gravity. Their cardiovascular system handles atmospheric variations that would kill most of us within minutes. Ren absorbed this information slowly. They evolved there. They adapted to those conditions. More than adapted, Pella continued. They thrive. I'm detecting population. Centers in every climate zone, from frozen poles to scorching deserts. They've spread across their entire world, uninterrupted. Transmission acknowledged from headquarters. They want us to maintain position and observe. A full diplomatic mission is being assembled. Ren nodded. That made sense. This discovery would shake the foundations of collective science. Every species would want to know how life conquered a death world. He stood and moved to the main viewport. The planet hung before them, blue and white and green. Beautiful in a savage way. Somewhere down there, beings lived and worked and built civilizations. They did it under conditions that would terrify every species in the galaxy. What do you think they're like? Pella asked softly, moving to stand beside him. Ren considered the question carefully. Strong. They would have to be. Nothing weak survives in that environment. But also intelligent. Technology doesn't develop by accident. They chose to build rather than merely survive. Do you think they're dangerous? It was the question everyone would ask. The collective had encountered aggressive species before, but those came from resource-poor worlds where competition drove evolution. This planet looked abundant despite its hazards. I don't know, Ren admitted, but I think we're about to find out what happens when life refuses to surrender, when it fights back against impossible odds and wins. Pella's tendrils coiled thoughtfully. The galaxy is going to change when they learn about this place. Ren nodded slowly. She was right. For millennia, the collective had assumed they understood the limits of biology and civilization. They had grown comfortable in their knowledge, safe in their understanding of how the universe worked. This planet challenged everything. As Ren watched the world turn beneath them, he felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Not fear, exactly. More like standing at the edge of something vast and unknown. The sensation of peering into depths that might peer back. Log everything, he ordered quietly. Every scan, every observation, every measurement. Whatever happens next, we were the first to find them. History is watching. The wandering light continued its silent vigil, sensors drinking in data from the impossible world below. And on that world, billions of beings lived their lives, unaware that the galaxy had finally discovered them. Unaware that everything was about to change, for both humanity and the stars above. The council chamber stretched wide enough to hold representatives from 50 species. Toreem sat at the central podium, his ancient crystalline body refracting light into rainbow patterns across the walls. He had witnessed 4 centuries of collective history, and nothing in his memory compared to the data scrolling before his multiple visual sensors. This is madness. The Delphan representative's translated voice echoed through the chamber. Her aquatic form floated in a specialized mobility. Tank, tentacles gesturing emphatically. Sensor errors. It must be. Toreem's patience, built over centuries, held firm. 3 separate survey ships have confirmed the readings. The planet exists. The life exists. The civilization exists. Around the chamber, dozens of species stirred in agitation. The archons hummed in harmonic confusion. The lithoids ground their stone-like appendages together. Even the usually calm verdants rustled their leaf-covered bodies with anxiety. A holographic projection filled the center of the chamber. The blue and green planet rotated slowly, its white clouds churning in violent patterns. Data streams surrounded it, each one highlighting another impossibility. Toreem activated his speaking mode, his voice resonating through every translator in the room. Let us review what we know. This world orbits a yellow star in Sector 793. Its gravity exceeds our standard by a factor of 2. Its atmospheric oxygen content would cause cellular burnout in most collective species within hours. Radiation exposure from its star is 10 times our safety threshold. Tectonic instability causes frequent seismic events. Climate variations are extreme and unpredictable. He paused, letting the information settle. And yet life flourishes. Not simple bacterial colonies. Not primitive organisms clinging to existence. Complex ecosystems. Intelligent beings. A technological civilization. The lithoid delegate spoke, his words grinding like stone on stone. How is this possible? Our evolutionary models show life requires stable conditions, gentle environments, millions of years of careful development. Torim gestured, and the hologram shifted to show biological data. The dominant species calls themselves humans. They are bipedal, mammalian, bilateral symmetry. Outwardly, they appear less robust than most collective species. New images appeared. Scans of human skeletal structures, muscular systems, internal organs. However, Torim continued. Their biology tells a different story. Bone density far exceeds our averages. Muscle fiber composition suggests incredible strength relative to their size. Their cardiovascular system operates under pressure that would rupture our organs. Their immune systems battle thousands of microorganisms daily that would be lethal to us. Their nervous systems process pain and damage that would incapacitate most species, yet they continue functioning. The chamber erupted in overlapping voices. Disbelief, curiosity, fear. Torim waited for the chaos to subside. There is more. He activated another data stream. Analysis of their planet's history shows multiple mass extinction events. Climate catastrophes, asteroid impacts, volcanic supereruptions, ice ages. Each event eliminated most life forms. Yet life returned, adapted, evolved, became stronger. A young verdant delegate raised a vine-like limb. What about their civilization? Their culture? Torim's crystals shifted to a warm amber tone. This is where it becomes truly fascinating. They're divided into hundreds of nations. Thousands of distinct cultures. They speak over 7,000 languages. Their genetic diversity is remarkable. They have competed with each other throughout their history, yet they have also cooperated, built trade networks, shared knowledge, created art and music and philosophy. The hologram showed human cities, architecture ranging from ancient stone, structures to gleaming towers, art galleries filled with paintings and sculptures, concert halls where humans gather to hear music. They experience emotions with an intensity we find difficult to comprehend. Torim explained, joy and sorrow, love and loss, hope and despair, all amplified beyond what most collective species feel. Their creative output reflects this. Their stories often focus on struggle and perseverance, on overcoming impossible obstacles. The Delphan representative moved closer to the hologram. Have they attempted space travel? Yes, Torim confirmed. Primitive by our standards, they have reached their moon, established orbital stations, launched probes to other planets in their system. They accomplished this despite their planet's high gravity, making escape velocity extraordinarily difficult. Silence fell over the chamber. Everyone understood the implications. Launching spacecraft from a high-gravity world required exponentially more energy, more advanced materials, more sophisticated engineering. These humans had done it with relatively simple technology. An Archon elder spoke, his harmonic voice measured. What do we do with this knowledge? Torim had been expecting this question. The wandering light has maintained distant observation for 3 cycles. The humans have not detected them. We must decide. Do we make contact? Do we introduce them to the collective? Or do we observe from afar? They could be dangerous, the lithoid delegate rumbled. A species forged in such violence might be aggressive, warlike, or counter the young verdant. They might value peace precisely because they know the cost of conflict. Their planet has forced them to be strong, but they chose to build civilizations rather than destroy each other. Torim had already formed his opinion, but he let the debate continue. Democracy was the foundation of the collective. Every species deserved a voice, ours. Past as arguments flowed back and forth. Some advocated caution, quarantine. keep the humans isolated until more was known. Others pushed for immediate contact. The potential for knowledge exchange was too valuable to delay. Medical advances, engineering innovations, new perspectives on survival and adaptation. Finally, Toreem called for order. I propose we send a first contact mission, a diplomatic vessel with full scientific support. We approach them with respect and openness. We offer friendship and inclusion in the collective. We learn from them as they learn from us. And if they refuse, asked the Delphan, then we respect their choice. Toreem replied simply, we are explorers and diplomats, not conquerors. If they wish to remain isolated, we honor that decision. The vote was called. Of the 50 species present, 43 voted in favor of contact, 5 voted for continued observation. 2 abstained. Toreem felt relief wash through his crystalline structure. Then it is decided. I will personally select the diplomatic team. Ambassador Wynn will lead the mission. She has successfully negotiated with 37 different species. Her record speaks to her skill. He manipulated the controls, and the hologram shifted to show a fleet composition: 7 ships, 1 diplomatic vessel, 2 science ships. For escort cruisers, we show strength but emphasize peace. General Sarek will command the military contingent. His instructions will be clear: protect the mission, but do not initiate hostility under any circumstances. The assembly began to disperse, representatives returning to their home sectors to spread the news. Within days, every collective world would know about the Death World and its impossible inhabitants. Toreem remained in the chamber after the others left. The holograms still displayed Earth, rotating serenely. Somewhere down there, humans went about their lives, working, learning, loving, building, completely unaware that the galaxy was coming. To meet them, he thought about the fears some delegates had expressed, concerns about human aggression, their potential danger. But Toreem had studied the available data carefully. Yes, humans had fought wars. Yes, they possessed weapons. But they had also created the concept of human rights, built international cooperations, sent messages into space hoping to find friends among the stars, a species shaped by adversity, strengthened by challenge, made compassionate by understanding suffering. Toreem's crystals glowed with anticipation. This would be the most important first contact in collective history, not because humans were the most advanced species they had encountered, but because they proved something the galaxy had forgotten. Life was not fragile. It was resilient, determined, unconquerable. Earth had taught that lesson to its children. Soon the galaxy would learn it too. Ambassador Wynn watched Earth grow larger in the viewport, her dual hearts beating faster with each passing moment. 30 cycles of travel had given her time to study everything known about humans, yet she still felt unprepared. How did one greet a species that should not exist? We're receiving multiple radar contacts from the surface. Oren reported from the communication station. His usual calm demeanor showed cracks of excitement. They know we're here. Wynn's silvery skin rippled with nervous energy. Expected. They may be pre-space flight, but they're not primitive. Broadcast our greeting in their major languages. The diplomatic vessel Harmonious Dawn held position in high orbit, flanked by its escort ships. Below them, Earth's blue oceans and green continents painted a picture of violent beauty. One could see storm systems larger than some collective worlds, spinning with terrifying force. Message transmitted. Oren confirmed. Now we wait. General Sarek approached from the tactical station. His armored form reflected the viewport's light. Ambassador, I recommend we maintain full defensive shields. Not as a threat, but as precaution. Agreed. Wynn nodded. She trusted Sarek's judgment. He had protected diplomatic missions for 40 years without firing a single shot in aggression. The science vessel Curious Mind floated nearby, its arrays drinking in data from Earth. Pella, promoted to lead scientist for the mission, was probably drowning in information right now. When made a mental note to check on her later. Ambassador. Oren's voice carried surprise. We have a response. Audio and visual transmission. Put it through. The main screen flickered to life. A human face appeared. Female, by their biology. Dark hair pulled back. Brown eyes. that seemed to assess everything with quick intelligence. She wore formal clothing, and behind her stood others of her species. This is Ambassador Lu of the United Earth Council. The translation matrix rendered her words into collective standard. On behalf of humanity, I welcome you to our system. We have long wondered if we were alone in the universe. Today we have our answer. Wynn felt tension drain from her body. The human's tone was friendly, open, curious rather than fearful. Ambassador Lu, Wynn responded. I am Ambassador Wynn of the Galactic Collective. We come in peace and friendship. We represent a coalition of civilizations spanning much of this galaxy. We wish to extend an invitation to humanity to join us in exploration and cooperation. Lu smiled, an expression Wynn had learned meant pleasure in humans. That is a generous offer. We have many questions. I suspect you have questions as well. Many indeed, Wynn admitted. Would you be willing to meet in person? We can provide transport to our vessel, or we can send representatives to your world. There was a pause. Lu appeared to consult with others off-screen. When she returned, her expression remained warm. We would be honored to visit your ship. However, I should warn you, our planet's environment has made us quite different from what you might expect. We don't want to cause alarm. Wynn's curiosity intensified. We have studied your biology. We believe we understand the adaptations your species has developed. Understanding data and meeting in person are different things. Lu replied gently. But we're willing if you are. We can have a shuttle ready within 2 hours. After the transmission ended, Wynn gathered her senior staff. Prepare the diplomatic chamber. Standard collective atmosphere and gravity. Medical team on standby. I want to make them comfortable. Pella joined the briefing via communication link from the science vessel. Ambassador, I recommend we offer to adjust the environmental controls. If they've evolved in double standard gravity, our normal settings might make them uncomfortable. Good thinking. When approved, Oren sent a message offering environmental adjustments. The response came quickly. Lu thanked them but declined. The human shuttle launched on schedule, a primitive but functional craft that struggled against Earth's powerful gravity well. Wynn watched its ascent with new respect. Escaping that gravity required enormous energy. When the shuttle docked with Harmonious Dawn, Wynn led her delegation to the airlock. Sarek insisted on accompanying them. Though he kept his weapons locked and hidden, protocol demanded caution even in friendship. The airlock cycled. The door opened. Ambassador Lu stepped through. Wynn's first impression was how small humans appeared. Lu stood barely to Wynn's shoulder. Her frame seemed delicate compared to most collective species. But then Lu moved into the corridor, and everything changed. The human walked with easy confidence through collective standard gravity. She carried a container of equipment that Wynn knew weighed substantial mass. Lu handled it as if it were empty. Her movements were fluid, controlled, powerful despite her size. 3 other humans accompanied her. 2 males, 1 female. All moved with the same effortless grace that spoke of incredible strength held in reserve. Ambassador Wynn. Lu extended her hand in the human greeting gesture. It's an honor to meet you in person. Wynn carefully mimicked the gesture, clasping Lu's hand briefly. The human's grip was firm but gentle. Wynn noticed the calloused texture of her skin, evidence of a life spent working in harsh conditions. The honor is ours, Wynn replied. Please, follow me to the diplomatic chamber. We have refreshments prepared, though I apologize if they are not to your taste. We're still learning about human dietary requirements. Lu smiled again. We appreciate the thought. Don't worry, we're quite adaptable. As they walked, Wynn observed the human delegation closely. They showed interest in everything, eyes tracking the architecture, the other species they passed in corridors, the technology integrated into the ship's systems. But there was no fear, no hesitation, just calm curiosity. The diplomatic chamber had been arranged with careful attention to comfort, seating for various body types, display screens for visual aids, environmental controls clearly marked. Wynn had even arranged for Earth atmosphere to be available if needed. This is lovely, Lu said, settling into a chair designed for bipedal species. The other humans took positions around the table. Before we begin formal discussions, may I ask a question? Of course. When encouraged, your species. Lu gestured at Wind's silvery form. You evolved on a planet with lower gravity than Earth. Correct. Most collective species developed on worlds with roughly half your gravity. Stable climates, gentle conditions. Lu nodded thoughtfully. That explains the ship's environment. I hope you don't mind me saying, but it feels quite light here. Comfortable, but we could function in much heavier gravity if needed. One of the human males spoke up. It's like being on the moon. Easier to move. Less strain. He demonstrated by lifting himself slightly out of his chair with one hand. Wind felt her skin ripple with astonishment. The casual display of strength was not meant to intimidate. The human simply didn't realize how extraordinary it appeared. Pella's voice came through Wind's private communicator. Are you seeing this? The ease with which they move? The strength ratios are even higher than our models predicted. When acknowledged silently, and returned her attention to Lu. Ambassador, perhaps we should begin with basic information exchange. Tell us about Earth, about humanity. We're eager to learn. Lu's expression became more serious. Earth is our home, our crucible. It has not been kind to us, but it made us who we are. She activated a holographic display built into the table. Images of Earth's landscapes appeared. Mountains that scraped the sky. Oceans deeper than most species could imagine. Deserts that stretched beyond horizons. Frozen tundras where nothing should survive. We evolved during one of our planet's most violent periods. Lu continued. Ice ages came and went. Predators hunted us. Disease killed us. Starvation threatened us. We learned to adapt or die. We chose adaptation. More images flowed. Early humans living in caves, hunting massive beasts, creating fire, building tools. We were not the strongest species on our world, not the fastest, not the most naturally armed, but we learned to think, to cooperate, to persist when others would surrender. When listened intently, as Lu described human history, the rise of agriculture, the building of civilizations, the discovery of science, but also the wars, the conflicts, the mistakes. We are not perfect. Lu said honestly. We have fought each other, caused suffering, made terrible choices. But we have also learned from these failures. We created concepts of justice, human rights, international cooperation. We reached for the stars because we believed something better existed out there. She paused, meeting Wind's eyes directly. When your ship appeared in our skies, some feared invasion. But most of us hoped for friendship. We're tired of being alone. We want to learn, to grow, to be part of something larger than ourselves. Wind felt emotion well up inside her. Ambassador Lu, humanity's isolation ends today. The Galactic Collective welcomes you. We offer knowledge, technology, partnership. In return, we hope to learn from you, your resilience, your adaptability, your perspective on survival. Lu's smile widened. Then let's begin. We have much to share with each other. As formal negotiations commenced, Wynn realized this was more than first contact. This was the moment the galaxy would change forever. Humanity would shake the foundations of everything the collective believed about life and civilization, and the universe would never be the same. 3 cycles after first contact, the galactic networks exploded with humanity's story. Every collective world watched the footage, listened to the recordings, studied the data. Earth became the most discussed topic in civilized space. On the peaceful water world of Delphra, young students gathered around holographic displays showing Earth's oceans. Their teacher, an elder named Mira, manipulated the images to show Earth's marine life. Look at this creature. Mira indicated a great white shark. It has survived unchanged for millions of Earth years, a perfect predator in waters that experience temperature swings that would kill most Delphan fauna. Notice its teeth, its speed, its sensory capabilities. A student raised a tentacle nervously. Teacher, humans swim in those waters. They do, Mira confirmed. For recreation. They call it surfing and diving. They share the ocean with these predators and many others. Some humans dedicate their lives to studying and protecting these dangerous animals. The classroom fell silent. The concept seemed impossible. deliberately entering water with apex predators for enjoyment. Mira shifted the display to show human swimmers, divers exploring coral reefs, surfers riding massive waves. Humans don't just survive their environment. They embrace it. They find joy in challenges that would terrify us. Meanwhile, on the crystal world of Arconia, musicians studied human compositions. The Harmonic Council had received samples of Earth music ranging from classical symphonies to modern electronic beats. What they heard changed their understanding of emotional expression. Senior composer Lyris played a human piece called a symphony. The rising crescendos, the falling diminuendos, the way different instruments wove together to create something greater than their parts. Listen to the emotional range. Lyris instructed his students. Humans don't just experience joy or contentment. They feel ecstasy and despair, hope and anguish, all of it poured into their art. This intensity comes from their evolutionary pressure. When every day might be your last, every emotion becomes amplified. One student hummed a questioning tone. Is it healthy to feel so strongly? For humans, it's normal, Lyris responded. Their nervous systems evolved to process extreme stress. What would overwhelm us is their baseline, and from that intensity comes art that moves the soul in ways we never imagined possible. In the collective's military academy, General Sarek stood before a lecture hall filled with officer cadets from 20 different species. Behind him, holographic displays showed Earth's geography. Study this planet, Sarek commanded. Every terrain type exists here. Frozen tundra, burning deserts, dense jungles, mountain ranges, deep oceans. Humans learned to fight in all of them. Their military history spans thousands of years across every possible environment. He pulled up tactical analyses. They developed asymmetric warfare, guerrilla tactics, defensive strategies for impossible terrain. Their generals wrote treatises on tactics that we're now incorporating into collective military doctrine. Not because humans are naturally violent, but because they learn to survive against overwhelming odds. A lithoid cadet raised a question. General, are humans better warriors than collective soldiers? Sarek considered carefully. In terms of raw combat capability? In their gravity, on their terrain, with their stamina? Yes, most collective species would be severely disadvantaged in extended ground combat on Earth. But humans don't want to fight. They want to protect. There's a difference. They've offered to train our forces not for conquest, but for defense. That tells you what kind of species they are. On the Medical Research Station orbiting Collective Headquarters, DAR, Dren studied human biological samples with growing excitement. Each test revealed new possibilities. The human immune system is extraordinary, Dren explained to his research team. They're constantly fighting off bacteria and viruses that would be lethal to most collective species. Their bodies produce antibodies at rates we thought impossible. We've identified compounds in human blood that could revolutionize our treatment of degenerative diseases. A colleague manipulated a genetic display. Look at their DNA repair mechanisms. They're exposed to radiation daily that would cause cellular breakdown in our species. Yet, their cells have multiple redundant systems to fix damage. If we can understand and replicate these mechanisms, we could extend lifespans across the collective. It's more than that, Dren continued. Human psychology is equally fascinating. They experience physical and emotional trauma that would permanently damage most species, yet they have this concept they call resilience, the ability to recover and grow stronger from hardship. We need to study this, the applications for treating trauma. Victims could be revolutionary. Back on Earth, Ambassador Liu sat in her office overlooking the Pacific Ocean. Requests for interviews poured in from collective media outlets. Every species wanted to know about humanity. She had spent the last cycle doing nothing but answering questions. Her assistant, David, brought her another stack of communication requests. Ambassador, the Verdant Collective wants to know about human agriculture. The Archons want samples of our music. The Delpons are requesting information about ocean conservation. Everyone wants something. Lou smiled wearily. Set up a priority list. Start with scientific exchanges and cultural programs. The galaxy is curious about us. Let's not disappoint them. There's something else. David activated a holographic display. Social media across collective space has exploded. There's a whole movement of young aliens trying to experience Earth conditions. They're calling it the Death World Challenge. The display showed videos of various alien species attempting to exercise in Earth normal gravity. Most could barely stand. Those who managed a few steps celebrated like they had conquered mountains. Comments flooded in from millions of users. Humans became symbols of what determination and strength could achieve. Some of them are getting hurt, David warned. Nothing serious, but the medical facilities are seeing aliens with strained muscles and exhausted systems. Lou sighed. Contact General. Sarek, we need to put out guidelines. Earth training needs to be done carefully. We don't want our new friends injuring themselves trying to be like us. On the Curious Mind Science vessel, Pella compiled her final report on Earth biology. Months of research had only deepened her respect for humanity. She recorded her conclusions. Earth is not merely a harsh world. It's a testing ground. Every organism there is engaged in constant competition for survival. Humans emerge from this crucible as perhaps the most adaptable species in known space. They can survive in environments ranging from Arctic cold to desert heat. They can function with minimal resources. They can endure physical and psychological stress that would incapacitate most collective species. Pella paused, choosing her next words carefully. But what makes humans truly remarkable is not their survival capacity. It's what they chose to do with it. They could have remained primitive, focused solely on staying alive. Instead, they built civilizations, created art, developed philosophy, reached for the stars. They proved that harsh environments don't create harsh people. They create strong people who understand the value of compassion and cooperation. She filed the report and looked out at Earth turning below. Somewhere down there, billions of humans continued their daily lives, working, learning, loving, dreaming, unaware of how profoundly they were changing the galaxy. On Arconia, young people formed study groups to learn human languages and customs. On Delphira, aquatic sports borrowed human surfing techniques. On lithoid worlds, human engineering principles improved construction methods. Across the collective, humanity's influence spread like ripples in a pond. In the council chambers, Toreem received reports from every sector. The same pattern emerged everywhere. Species that had grown comfortable and complacent were being inspired by human resilience. Research programs accelerated. Exploration. Missions to previously avoided systems were approved. The entire collective was experiencing a renaissance of curiosity and determination. A young aide approached Toreem. Elder, the human delegation has arrived for the membership ceremony. They're ready when you are. Toreem's crystals glowed with warm light. Then let's not keep them waiting. Today we welcome the most extraordinary species we have ever encountered. Today the collective becomes stronger because Earth chose to join us. As he moved toward the ceremony hall, Toreem reflected on how quickly everything had changed. 3 cycles ago, the galaxy thought it understood life, thought it knew the limits of biology and civilization. Earth proved them wrong. Humanity showed them that life was far more resilient than anyone imagined, that strength could coexist with compassion, that suffering could forge wisdom rather than cruelty. The ceremony would be broadcast across collective space. Billions would watch as Ambassador Lou formally accepted membership on behalf of humanity. But the real ceremony had already happened. It happened when the first human stepped onto an alien ship and offered friendship. When the first alien learned about Earth and felt inspired. When 2 vastly different civilizations looked at each other and chose understanding over fear. The galaxy had frozen in stunned amazement upon discovering Earth. Now it was waking up, learning, growing, becoming something better. It was only the beginning. 6 cycles had transformed the collective in ways nobody anticipated. Human influence touched every aspect of galactic civilization, from medicine to military tactics, from art to engineering. But the most profound changes happened in the hearts and minds of species who had forgotten what it meant to truly challenge themselves. On the frontier world of Kepler Station, a mixed team of humans and collective species prepared for the most ambitious exploration mission in recent history. Their target was a system previously deemed too dangerous for investigation. Binary stars with unstable radiation patterns and violent solar winds. Before Earth joined the collective, such systems were automatically avoided. Mission Commander Riley checked her suit seals one final time. Her team consisted of 3 humans and 4 aliens who had volunteered for extended Earth gravity training. She looked at her alien companions with pride. Each had spent cycles building their strength and endurance to survive. Extended missions in harsh conditions. Everyone ready? Riley asked through the comm system. Tevin, a young Dell fan who had trained harder than anyone Riley knew, gave an affirmative signal. His specialized suit allowed him to function outside his natural aquatic environment. Ready, Commander. Let's show the galaxy what we can do. The exploration vessel launched toward the binary system. Inside, the crew worked in conditions that would have been unthinkable before humans arrived. Elevated gravity, extended duty shifts, minimal comfort accommodations. They called it training for the unexpected. Back on Earth, the Global Defense Coordination Center monitored deep space sensor networks. Human operators worked alongside collective tactical officers, sharing centuries of defensive strategy developed on a world where danger was constant. Colonel Park studied the incoming data feeds when something unusual caught his attention. Sector Command. I'm seeing anomalous readings at grid reference 77 Alpha. Multiple vessels. Unknown configuration. Moving toward collective space. Within minutes, the alert reached General Sarek at collective military headquarters. He immediately contacted Ambassador Liu and Toreem. The 3 met in the secure strategic room. Show me what we're facing, Sarek commanded. The holographic display lit up with tactical data. A fleet of 30 vessels, each larger than standard collective cruisers, was moving steadily toward inhabited systems. Their energy signatures didn't match any known species. They've already destroyed a survey outpost in Sector 9. Toreem's crystals dimmed with concern. No communication. No warning. They simply attacked. Lou studied the fleet movement patterns. Her expression hardened. These aren't explorers. This is an invasion force. They're targeting the outer colonies first, probably testing our defenses before moving toward core worlds. Sarek's tactical assessment confirmed her analysis. The collective has never faced this kind of aggression. Our military exists primarily for law enforcement and disaster response. We have warships, but our officers have no real combat experience. We do, Lou said quietly. Humanity has spent our entire history learning how to defend against impossible odds. It's time we shared that knowledge completely. Within hours, the Collective Council convened an emergency session. Toreem presented the threat while Lou stood beside him. The chamber buzzed with fear and uncertainty. How do we fight them? A verdant elder asked. Our species have lived in peace for millennia. We don't have warriors. Lou stepped forward. With respect, Elder, you do. Every species in this chamber has the potential for courage and determination. You've simply never needed to access it. Earth will help you find it. She activated a display showing human military doctrine. We're not going to make you into warriors like us. We're going to teach you how to defend what you love, how to stand together when standing seems impossible, how to find strength you didn't know you possessed. General Sarek added his voice. I've already begun working with Colonel Park and other human military advisors. They've identified our tactical weaknesses and proposed solutions. With your permission, we'll implement an accelerated training program across all collective defense forces. The vote was unanimous. Survival overruled all other concerns. The transformation happened faster than anyone expected on military bases across collective space. Human instructors drilled alien recruits in tactics refined over millennia of Earth warfare. Not the warfare of conquest, but the warfare of survival, defense of home, protection of loved ones. On the Archon world, human trainers taught urban defense, how to turn familiar streets into defensive positions, how to coordinate during chaos, how to maintain morale when hope seemed lost. On Delphra, aquatic combat specialists trained alongside human naval veterans, learning how to defend underwater cities, how to use their natural environment as an advantage. On lithoid mining colonies, Engineers worked with human demolition experts, creating defensive fortifications from available materials, turning industrial equipment into improvised weapons. But the training went beyond tactics. Human psychological officers taught concepts that the collective had never needed before. Mental resilience under combat stress, how to process fear and continue functioning, how to support each other through trauma. Dren watched in amazement as human medics demonstrated battlefield medicine. They can function while injured, while exhausted, while terrified, and they still have the presence of mind to help others. How do they do this? Practice, a human medic named Sarah replied. On Earth, we learn early that life isn't fair, that bad things happen regardless of whether we deserve them. So we teach ourselves to adapt, to keep moving forward, to never surrender. As the enemy fleet drew closer, Riley's exploration team made a crucial discovery. The binary star system they were surveying contained rare minerals that could strengthen shield technology. She immediately transmitted the findings home. This could give us an edge, Riley reported. These materials can absorb energy at rates higher than anything in collective databases. If we can mine and process them quickly enough, we could upgrade the defensive grid before the enemy arrives. Human mining engineers were dispatched immediately. They worked in conditions that would exhaust most collective species, 16-hour shifts in dangerous environments. But they didn't complain. They understood what was at stake. On the command ship Resolute Hope, Sarek reviewed fleet dispositions with Colonel Park and Ambassador Liu. The enemy would arrive in 3 cycles. The collective had assembled every available warship, 200 vessels against 30 enemy craft, but size didn't guarantee victory. They're larger and likely better armed. Park observed, we need to use tactics that negate their advantages. Hit and run attacks. Asymmetric warfare. Make them spread their forces. Sarek nodded. Human tactics use speed and unpredictability against superior strength. Liu looked at the tactical display with the expression Sarek had come to recognize. Determination mixed with compassion. General, I need to be clear about something. Humans will fight beside you. We'll give everything we have, but we're not fighting to prove ourselves or gain glory. We're fighting because you're our friends now, our family, and humans protect their family. The word spread through the collective forces, transmitted from ship to ship, species that had never fought. Before took strength from knowing humanity, stood with them. Young Delphan pilots who had trained in Earth gravity conditions felt confidence they never imagined possible. Lithoid gunners who had learned human accuracy techniques prepared their weapons with steady determination. On Earth, billions watched the preparations, knowing their new friends faced a threat unlike anything in recent collective history. Human military volunteers flooded recruitment centers, offering to join the defense fleet. The government had to turn thousands away. There simply wasn't time to integrate so many into the command structure. But Earth contributed in other ways. Factories worked around the clock producing components for shield upgrades. Scientists shared every defensive technology they possessed. And most importantly, human advisors spread throughout the fleet. Not to take command, but to support, to encourage, to remind everyone what they were capable of achieving. In the Curious Minds laboratory, Pella completed her latest research, an analysis of the enemy fleet's energy signatures. I'm sending this to all ships, she transmitted. I've identified a potential vulnerability in their shield harmonics. Human weapons might be able to exploit it because Earth technology developed independently from collective standards. Riley's voice came through from the mining operation. We've extracted enough material for partial fleet upgrades. Prioritize the ships that will engage first. Every advantage counts. As the enemy fleet crossed into collective space, Toreem stood in the council chambers addressing all member worlds simultaneously. His ancient voice carried across the galaxy. We face a threat unlike any we have known in our era of peace, but we do not face it alone. We have learned from Earth that strength comes not from avoiding challenges, but from meeting them with courage. Today we stand together. Today we prove that civilization does not make us weak. It makes us worth defending. Throughout the fleet, across all the worlds, beings from dozens of species prepared to defend everything they had built. not with the casual confidence of those who had never faced real danger, but with the determined hope of those who had learned from humanity that survival was worth fighting for. The enemy fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel like predators sensing easy prey. Their commander, a being called Vorthas, surveyed the collective forces with contempt, 200 small vessels against his 30 dreadnoughts. This would be quick. They actually came to fight. Vorthas laughed. These peaceful fools don't understand war. Prepare to demonstrate why the hegemony has conquered 17 systems. His tactical officer highlighted an unusual reading, Commander detecting anomalous energy signatures in their fleet. Some vessels have enhanced shielding, configuration unknown, irrelevant. Vorthas dismissed. Begin the assault. On the Resolute Hope, General Sarek watched the enemy fleet advance. Beside him, Colonel Park monitored tactical displays while Ambassador Liu stood ready at the communication station. Throughout the bridge, collective and human officers worked together as one crew. All ships. This is General Sarek. Remember your training. Remember why we fight. Tactical teams. Execute human pattern Delta 7. Let's show them what we've learned. The collective fleet split into multiple groups. Smaller vessels darted forward while larger cruisers maintained defensive positions. It looked chaotic to Vorthas, but Park recognized the pattern immediately. Classic Earth guerrilla tactics adapted for space combat. The first exchange of fire lit up the void. Enemy dreadnoughts unleashed devastating energy weapons, but the collective ships dodged with agility born from Earth gravity training. Pilots who had spent cycles building their reflexes and endurance now put those skills to use. Where collective forces once would have traded volley statically, they now moved with fluid unpredictability. Their hit rate is dropping. Park noted with satisfaction. They expected us to fight like we did before, like we had no experience with real combat. A Delphan cruiser captain named Tevin commanded one of the forward assault groups. He had trained harder than any alien in the human military program. Now his efforts paid off. Strike Team Alpha. Follow my lead. Hit their flank and break away before they can target lock. His squadron executed the maneuver perfectly. Plasma torpedoes struck enemy shields from an unexpected angle. The enhanced warheads, designed with human input and manufactured using materials Riley's team discovered, punched through with satisfying efficiency. Vorthas snarled as damage reports came in. How are they? Penetrating our shields? These species were pacifists. Analyzing weapons signatures. His tactical officer worked frantically. They've adapted their technology. New techniques. Commander, these tactics are sophisticated. Someone taught them how to fight. On Earth, billions watched live feeds from the battle. In living rooms and public squares, in schools and offices, humanity held its breath as their new friends faced their first real test. Sarah, the human medic who had trained collective medical staff, worked frantically on a damaged Archon. Cruiser, I need plasma stabilizers here. Don't give up on me. You're stronger than you think. The wounded Archon officer looked at her with crystalline eyes. I cannot feel my lower structure. I'm finished. Not if I have anything to say about it, Sarah growled. She had seen worse injuries on Earth, had learned medicine in field hospitals where giving up meant death. You're going to survive this. Your crew needs you. So you're going to let me do my job. Something in her voice, in the absolute certainty of her tone, made the Archon believe, made him fight to stay conscious. In the Curious Minds laboratory, Pella had identified another vulnerability. All ships, enemy shield harmonics fluctuate every 47 seconds during generator cycles. If you time your strikes to match that frequency, you'll maximize damage. The information spread through the fleet instantly. Human precision timing met alien technical expertise. Strikes began landing with devastating accuracy. Riley's mining ship, now armed with improvised weapons, joined the battle. Mining vessel Strong Foundation entering combat zone. We might not be warships, but we're still going to fight. Negative, Strong Foundation. Sarah tried to wave them off. You're not equipped for this. With respect, General, Riley replied. We're humans. We're equipped for anything. Besides, you taught us that protecting family means standing together. The mining vessel positioned itself near a damaged collective cruiser. providing cover while the larger ship executed emergency repairs. When enemy fighters moved in, Riley's crew used mining lasers to devastating effect. Tools meant for cutting through asteroids proved equally effective against fighter armor. Vorthas watched his tactical advantage erode. This is impossible. They're using strategies I've never encountered. Weapons that shouldn't penetrate our shields. Where did they learn this? His answer came when a human voice cut through on open channels. Ambassador Lu spoke not just to Vorthas but to every ship in both fleets. Commander Vorthas of the Hegemony, I am Ambassador Lu of Earth. You came here expecting to find victims. Instead, you found beings who learned that peace is worth defending. You assumed the Galactic Collective was weak because they chose cooperation over conquest. You were wrong. She paused, letting her words sink in. We are not like you. We don't conquer. We protect. And we've taught our friends something you never learned. That real strength comes from standing together. That survival means fighting for something greater than yourself. That compassion and determination are not weaknesses. They're what make life worth living. Vorthas felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Doubt? Who are you? What species produces such warriors? We are human, Lu replied simply. We come from a world that tried to kill us every day of our existence. We survived by being stronger, smarter, more adaptable than anything nature threw at us. And now we protect those we call friends. The battle reached its crescendo. Collective forces, inspired by human determination and trained in Earth tactics, fought with courage they never knew they possessed. Young Delphan pilots executed maneuvers that would have been suicide attempts before their training. Now they were calculated risks. Lithoid gunners maintained firing solutions through conditions that would have overwhelmed them cycles ago. Verdant coordinators managed fleet movements with precision learned from human air traffic controllers. One of Vorthas's dreadnoughts exploded. Then another. The enemy fleet began to break formation. Some ships attempted to flee. Others tried to press the attack. But their cohesion was gone, replaced by fear. All enemy vessels, Sarek's voice, carried across all channels. Surrender now, and you will be treated according to collective law. Continue fighting, and we will defend ourselves. The choice is yours. Vorthas stared at his displays. Half his fleet damaged or destroyed. The rest outmaneuvered and outfought by species he had dismissed as harmless. His pride wanted to continue, but his survival instinct was stronger. Hegemony fleet, stand down. He transmitted bitterly. We surrender. The collective fleet maintained defensive positions while enemy vessels powered down weapons. Nobody celebrated yet. The danger wasn't over until every hostile ship was secured. But on Earth, cheers erupted. In the streets, in the homes, across every continent. Humanity celebrated not their own victory, but the victory of their friends. The survival of civilizations they had come to love on the resolute hope. Sarek embraced Colonel Park in the traditional collective gesture of respect. We won. We actually won. You won. Park corrected gently. We just showed you what you were already capable of. The courage was always there. You just needed a reason to find it. Ambassador Lu contacted Toreem on the Council flagship. The ancient leader's crystals glowed with an emotion she had learned to recognize. Pride mixed with profound gratitude. Ambassador Lu. Toreem's voice resonated with warmth. Today, the collective proved something important. That peace-loving species can defend themselves when necessary. That civilization does not require weakness. Thank you for teaching us this. Thank you for being worth teaching, Lu replied. Earth found something in the stars we always hoped for. Not just new friends, but beings who share our values, who believe in protecting rather than conquering, who choose cooperation over domination. In the aftermath, as medical ships tended to wounded and engineering crews repaired damaged vessels, a transformation completed itself. The collective had faced its trial by fire, had discovered strength it didn't know it possessed, had proven that gentle species could become fierce defenders when protecting what they loved. The galaxy would never return to its old ways. The comfortable assumption that peace required avoiding all conflict, that safety meant hiding from danger, that civilization made species weak. Earth had shown them a better path. That peace required the strength to defend it. That safety came from preparing for threats. That civilization reached its highest form when compassionate beings chose to be strong. 6 cycles later, Ambassador Lu returned to Earth for the first time since the battle. She stood once again on the mountainside overlooking the Pacific. The same storms rolled in from the horizon. The same violent beauty that had shaped humanity. Riley joined her, fresh from another exploration mission to a previously forbidden system. Strange, isn't it? Everything changed because aliens found our little death world. Lou smiled. Not so strange. Earth made us who we are, strong enough to survive anything. Compassionate enough to share what we learned. Determined enough to stand with friends even when the odds look impossible. The galaxy is different now, Riley observed. Species are exploring systems they would have avoided before. Military academies teach human tactics alongside traditional collective doctrine. There's even talk of a combined exploration initiative to map the entire galaxy. The unknown doesn't scare them anymore. That's because they learned what Earth taught us millions of years ago, Lou replied. That fear is just another challenge to overcome. That the unknown holds possibilities as well as dangers. That life is about adapting and persevering and never giving up. She looked up at the stars beginning to appear as sunset faded. Somewhere up there, billions of beings from dozens of species were living. Lives changed by Earth's example. Building, growing, reaching for dreams they never thought possible. We were alone for so long, Lou said softly, wondering if anyone else was out there, hoping we'd find friends among the stars. And when they finally came, we showed them the best of what humanity could be. Riley nodded. And they showed us the best of what the galaxy could be. Beings from completely different worlds choosing to stand together, to protect each other, to build something greater than any single species could achieve alone. On the galactic networks, the story of Earth and the collective's victory spread to every corner of civilized space. But it wasn't told as a tale of military triumph. It was told as a story of transformation, of peaceful beings discovering courage, of warriors choosing protection over conquest, of different species learning that their differences made them stronger together. In schools across the galaxy, young beings learned about the death world, called Earth, and the species called human who emerged from its crucible. They learned that strength came in many forms, that compassion and determination were not opposites, but partners, that the most important battles were fought not for territory or resources, but for the right to protect what you loved. The galaxy had frozen in stunned amazement when aliens discovered Earth for the first time. They saw a world that shouldn't support life, yet teamed with it. They met a species that survived impossible conditions and chose kindness despite their harsh environment. Now the galaxy moved forward with new understanding. Life was not fragile. Civilization was not weakness. Peace was not surrender. Earth had taught them these truths, and in learning them, the galaxy became something better, something stronger, something that would endure whatever challenges the universe presented, because they had learned humanity's greatest lesson, that the measure of a species wasn't how comfortable their existence was. It was what they chose to do with whatever existence they were given. And both humanity and the collective had chosen to reach for the stars. The warning lights turned red across every monitor in the Council's deep space observation post. Lila pressed her fingers against the console, watching the data stream corrupt itself in real time. She had worked this station for 3 cycles and never seen anything like it. The computer systems were trying to identify an incoming vessel, but every scan returned nothing except error messages and static. Admiral Brent, we have a situation. She spoke into the communication channel. The Admiral's face appeared on her screen. His scales were a deep purple, marking him as a senior member of the Vrac species. Report, Officer Lila. Unknown vessel entering Sector 7. Registry shows complete data corruption. It's like the ship doesn't exist in any of our databases. Lila pulled up the visual feed. But sir, it's definitely there. Sensors confirm physical mass equivalent to a Dreadnought-class vessel. Brent's eyes narrowed. How is that possible? We've cataloged every ship-capable civilization in the known galaxy for 3,000 cycles. He leaned forward. What's the composition reading? Lila ran the scan again. The results made her stomach twist. Sir, the hull contains material compounds that our database flags as theoretically impossible. The molecular structure shouldn't be stable according to known physics. Dispatch Battle Group 7. Brent ordered. Standard intercept protocol. If they don't respond to hails, we treat them as hostile. Across the sector, 12 warships of Battle Group 7 changed course. Their commander, a four-armed Kelton named Rax, studied the incoming data with growing confusion. The mystery ship was massive, bigger than anything except Council flagships. Yet it broadcast no identification, no diplomatic codes, no distress signals. All vessels, maintain formation. Rax commanded. Weapons to standby. Shields at maximum. The battle group approached the unknown vessel. Up close, it was even more unsettling. The ship's design followed no known architectural pattern. Smooth curves blended with angular sections in ways that seemed both elegant and aggressive. Running lights pulsed along its hull in patterns that hurt to look at directly. Unidentified vessel. This is Council Battle Group 7. Rax broadcast on all standard frequencies. You have entered Council-protected space without authorization. Identify yourself immediately or face military response. Silence. Rax tried again, cycling through 200 different language protocols. The mystery ship continued its slow drift through space, seemingly unconcerned with the warships surrounding it. Back at the observation post, Lila was digging deeper into the corrupted data. Something caught her attention. Buried beneath the static was a faint signal on an ancient frequency band. She isolated it and ran it through the historical archives. Her blood went cold. Admiral, I found something. Her voice shook slightly. The ship is broadcasting on a frequency that hasn't been used in 50,000 cycles. That's before the Council even existed. Brent stood from his chair. Are you certain? Confirmed, sir. The frequency matches record from the Age of Chaos. Lila's hands moved across her console. There are fragmentary historical texts that mention vessels from that era, but we always assumed they were mythology. Mythology doesn't show up on military-grade sensors. Brent growled. Tell Rax to proceed with caution. We need that ship captured, not destroyed. High Chancellor Drex will want answers. In the council chambers on the capital world, Drex received the report with visible agitation. His reptilian features twisted in displeasure. The counselor prided himself on order and complete information. The existence of an unregistered vessel violated everything the council represented. This is unacceptable, Drex hissed. Our records are absolute. Every civilization, every ship, every registered entity in the galaxy is documented. He activated his communication array. I want a full historical review. Search every archive, every ancient database. Find out what this thing is. Meanwhile, Battle Group 7 had completed its encirclement. The mystery ship sat in the center of their formation, seemingly unaware or unconcerned. Final warning. Rax transmitted. Respond now, or we will disable your vessel and board you by force. The mystery ship's running lights suddenly intensified. Patterns rippled across its hull, and for the first time, it showed signs of activity. Power readings spiked to levels that made the battle group's sensors scream warnings. All ships. Weapons hot. Rax ordered, prepare to fire on my mark. Lila watched the confrontation through the observation post's long-range sensors. Something felt wrong. The power signature from the mystery ship was enormous, yet it hadn't raised shields or charged weapons. It was just sitting there, lights pulsing in that strange pattern. Wait, she whispered, though no one could hear her. She ran the light pattern through every analytical program she had access to. Then she found it. Admiral, the light pattern. It's binary code, ancient binary code. What does it say? Brent demanded. Lila's translation software worked frantically. It says, cataloging current inhabitants, cross-referencing known species. Please stand by. It's scanning us. Brent realized. Tell Rax to, too late. Battle Group 7 opened fire. Plasma bolts and kinetic rounds filled space, converging on the mystery ship from all directions. The barrage was enough to crack a planet's crust. enough firepower to vaporize a city. The weapon struck the mystery ship directly. When the energy dissipation cleared, the ship hung in space, completely undamaged. Not a scratch, not a scorch mark, not even a dent in its strange hull. Rax stared at his tactical display in disbelief. Impossible. Nothing can withstand that kind of concentrated fire without shields. The mystery ship's lights changed color, shifting from white to orange. A single weapon port opened along its side, small and almost insignificant compared to the vessel's massive size. Evasive maneuvers, Rax shouted. A pulse of energy emerged from the mystery ship. It didn't look like any weapon discharge anyone had seen before. No plasma, no kinetic round, no beam, just a ripple in space itself. The ripple touched 3 of the battle group's vessels. Instantly, every system on those ships went dark. Engines died, weapons powered down, life support switched to emergency backup, communications went silent. The ships drifted, lifeless hulks in the void. Status report. Rax demanded. Ships 4, 7, and 9 are completely disabled. His tactical officer reported. But sir, they're not destroyed. Life signs show all crew members alive and unharmed. The ships are just dead. Another pulse emerged from the mystery ship. 3 more vessels went dark. All ships, full retreat. Rax commanded. Fall back to the rally point. Now, the remaining 6 vessels of Battle Group 7 turned and engaged their faster-than-light drives. The mystery ship didn't pursue. Instead, it moved toward the 6 disabled vessels, its lights returning to their original white pulsing pattern. At the observation post, Lila and Admiral Brent watched in stunned silence. What just happened? Brent finally asked. A full battle group just lost to a single ship, Lila answered. And that ship didn't even try to destroy them. It disabled them with surgical precision. She pulled up the energy readings. Admiral, look at this. The mystery ship's power output during the engagement was less than 5% of its total capacity. Brent's face went pale. 5%. If that was them holding back, Lila said quietly. What can they do at full power? The mystery ship completed its scan of the disabled council vessels. Then, without warning, it released them. Power flickered back to life on all 6 ships. Systems rebooted. Confused crews found themselves fully functional again. By the time they could reorient their sensors, the mystery ship had vanished into hyperspace, heading deeper into Council territory. High Chancellor Drex watched the battle footage 3 times. Each viewing made the situation worse. An unknown vessel had defeated a Council battle group without sustaining damage. Worse, it had shown restraint. It could have killed everyone, but chose not to. Call an emergency session. Drex ordered. All Council members. Immediately, he looked at the frozen image of the mystery ship on his display. And someone find out where that thing came from. Check every archive, every historical record, every myth and legend. His voice dropped to a whisper. Because if something that powerful isn't in our records, what else don't we know about? The emergency council chamber filled within hours. Representatives from 40 species gathered, their voices creating a cacophony of worried chatter. Drex waited at the central podium, his claws tapping impatiently against the stone surface. Order, he called out. The chamber fell silent. You've all seen the footage. A vessel of unknown origin has entered our space and defeated Battle Group 7 without sustaining damage. More concerning, it's not in our records. A murmur rippled through the assembly. A Kelton representative raised one of her 4 arms. Surely there's been some mistake. Every ship-capable civilization has been documented. The archives are complete. That's what we believed, Drex acknowledged. But the evidence suggests otherwise. He activated the holographic display. The mystery ship rotated slowly above them. This vessel doesn't match any known design. Its hull composition violates known material science, and it broadcasts on a frequency that predates our civilization by millennia. Could it be a remnant from the Age of Chaos? Someone asked. Possibly, Drex admitted. We've initiated 3 parallel investigations. Archaeological, military, and linguistic teams are working to uncover its origins. Admiral Brent stepped forward. The immediate concern is defensive. This vessel demonstrated capabilities far beyond our current technology. If it's hostile, we have no effective countermeasures. But it wasn't hostile. Lila's voice came from the communications station. She had been invited to brief the council personally. The vessel disabled our ships without destroying them. It could have killed everyone but chose not to. That suggests intelligence and restraint. Or it suggests we're beneath its notice, a Vrax council member countered. Perhaps it didn't bother destroying us because we pose no threat. The chamber erupted in argument. Drex let it continue for a moment before calling for order again. Regardless of intentions, we need answers, Dr. Ross. What have your teams discovered? An elderly Tarian scholar approached the podium. His fur had gone silver with age, but his eyes remained sharp. The archaeological team has found references in pre-council ruins. Fragmentary texts mention wanderers from the Blue World who appeared during the Age of Chaos. They allegedly possessed superior technology and helped end several major conflicts before vanishing. Helped end conflicts? Brent interrupted. You mean they were peacekeepers? The texts are unclear, Ross admitted. Most of the records were destroyed during the collapse. What remains suggests these wanderers appeared at crisis points, intervened to prevent mass destruction, then disappeared. They were described as, he paused to check his notes, surprisingly fragile physically, but protected by machines that couldn't be broken. Where did they come from? Drex demanded. Ross activated his own display. Coordinates appeared above the assembly. The text referenced a blue world orbiting a yellow star. We cross-referenced every ancient stellar map we could find. This system matches the description. He highlighted a region in the galactic periphery. It's outside council space, in a sector we surveyed 200 cycles ago. What did the surveys say? Someone asked. The primary planet was flagged as a Class 12 Death World. Ross read from the report. Unusually hostile environment with excessive gravity, volatile atmosphere, and regular asteroid bombardment. The survey team noted signs of industrial development, but recommended low priority for contact. The natives were deemed pre-space flight at the time. 200 cycles ago, Brent mused. A lot can change in 200 cycles. Lila spoke up again. Admiral, I've been analyzing the mystery ship's behavior pattern. It's been appearing throughout council space. Short visits to colony. Worlds, scanning them. Then leaving. No hostile actions, just observation. How many sightings? Drex asked. 17 confirmed in the past 3 weeks, Lila reported. Each time, the ship arrives, conducts scans for approximately 1 hour, then jumps to hyperspace. It's systematic, like it's collecting data on us, Brent realized. It's studying council civilization. Ross nodded slowly. If this vessel is from the Blue World mentioned in ancient texts, and if those inhabitants are the same, wanderers who intervened 50,000 cycles ago, then perhaps they've returned to observe how the galaxy has evolved, or to assess whether we're a threat, the Kelton representative suggested. Then we need to make contact, Drex decided. Ross, prepare an expedition to this Blue World. Take a science vessel, not a warship. If these beings are as powerful as they appear, hostility would be suicide. We approach diplomatically. And if they don't want to talk? Someone asked. Drex's expression was grim. Then we hope they continue showing the same restraint they demonstrated with. Battle Group 7. 2 weeks later, the science vessel Seeker entered the system Ross had identified. The crew consisted of scientists, linguists, and diplomats. No weapons beyond basic defensive systems. Commander Yara, a young Vrax officer, stood at the navigation console. Sir, we're approaching the 3rd planet from the star. She pulled up the visual feed. The planet was beautiful. Swirls of white clouds drifted across blue oceans and green-brown land masses. A large gray moon hung in nearby orbit. Increased scan resolution, Ross ordered. He had insisted on leading the expedition personally. The result made the bridge crew fall silent. The planet's surface was covered in electromagnetic signatures. Cities blazed with power usage. Orbital platforms dotted the space around the planet. The moon hosted several large installations. This wasn't a pre-space flight civilization. This was a thriving technological society. Check the survey data again, Ross said quietly. Are we certain this? is the right planet. Coordinates match perfectly, Yara confirmed. But sir, the development level, 200 cycles shouldn't produce this much advancement. It's exponential growth. Or the survey team underestimated them, Ross suggested. Run deep scans. I want atmospheric composition, gravity readings, radiation levels, everything. The data came back gradually. Each reading was more troubling than the last. Gravity is 32% above council standard, the science officer reported. Atmosphere contains 21% oxygen. That's incredibly reactive. Most species would need breathing apparatus. Radiation? Ross asked. High solar radiation. The planet's magnetic field is strong but variable. They experience frequent solar storms. The science officer looked worried. Sir, this planet has no protective ring system. The asteroid belt in this system is massive. Collision probability must be significantly elevated. They evolved here? Yara asked incredulously. In these conditions, life finds a way, Ross murmured. But what kind of life survives in an environment like this? Contact, the communications officer announced suddenly. We're being hailed. In perfect council standard language. Everyone turned. How did they already know council languages? Put it through, Ross ordered. A voice filled the bridge, calm, professional, with a strange accent. Greetings, Council Vessel Seeker. This is Earth Traffic Control. Welcome to the Sol System. Please state your intentions. Ross exchanged glances with his crew. Earth. So the planet had a name. Earth Traffic Control. This is DR. Ross of the Galactic Council. We've come seeking information about one of your vessels. We encountered it in council space and wish to establish diplomatic relations. Pause. Then, which vessel? Ross described the mystery ship's appearance and capabilities. Another pause, longer this time. DR. Ross, please stand by. We're connecting you with Defense Command. The signal changed. A new voice spoke, firmer with unmistakable military authority. Council Vessel Seeker. This is General Harris of Earth Defense Force. The vessel you encountered is designated Wanderer. It's one of our deep space exploration ships. I apologize if it caused alarm. Its mission is peaceful observation and cataloging. It defeated one of our battle groups. Ross said carefully. Yes, Harris acknowledged. After your vessels opened fire without provocation. Wanderer's defensive protocols activated. I assure you, if Wanderer had hostile intent, your battle group wouldn't have survived. The ship was designed to disable, not destroy. Ross felt his blood chill. The human's tone wasn't threatening. It was simply stating a fact. General Harris, we would very much like to meet you and discuss formal relations. Ross said. We'd like that too, Harris replied. We've been watching the council for some time. We have much to discuss. Transmitting coordinates for a neutral meeting point. Welcome to Earth, DR. Ross. The neutral orbital station hung between Earth's moon and the planet itself. It was human-built, though constructed to accommodate various alien physiologies. Ross and his delegation approached in a shuttle, watching Earth grow larger in the viewport. It's remarkable, Yara whispered. The planet looks peaceful from here. Don't let appearances fool you, the science officer cautioned. I've been monitoring their weather patterns. There are 3 major storm systems active right now. Each one powerful enough to devastate one of our colonies. The inhabitants treat them as routine. The shuttle docked smoothly. As the airlock opened, Ross got his first look at a human. General Harris stood waiting in the reception bay. He was tall, perhaps 2 meters, with a broad frame that suggested immense strength. His skin was dark brown, his hair cropped short, and his eyes held an intensity that made Ross instinctively cautious. The general wore a military uniform of deep blue with various insignia. Dar. Ross. Harris extended his hand. Ross had studied human customs and knew this was a greeting gesture. He reached out his own smaller hand, and Harris shook it gently. General Harris, Ross replied. Thank you for receiving us. The pleasure is ours. Harris gestured to the woman beside him. This is Ambassador Liu, our diplomatic liaison. Liu was shorter than Harris. With lighter skin and dark hair pulled back, she smiled warmly. Welcome to Sol System. I hope your journey was comfortable. Very much so, Ross assured her. He introduced his own delegation, 2 Vrak scientists, a Kelton linguist, and Yara. They moved to a conference room. Ross noticed everything was built to human proportions, slightly higher gravity than he was comfortable with, but manageable. The delegation took seats around a circular table. "I'll be direct," Harris began. "You want to know about the Wanderer and why we're not in council records? That would be an excellent start." Ross agreed. Harris activated a holographic display. Images of spacecraft appeared. Humans achieved spaceflight approximately 200 cycles ago. By your calendar, we've been exploring our local stellar neighborhood since then. About 150 cycles ago, we attempted first contact with the Council. The display showed a vessel approaching a Council border station. Your forces fired first, asked questions never. Our ship defended itself and retreated. 3 more attempts ended the same way. Ross felt embarrassment creep through him. The records list those encounters as pirate vessels eliminated. We realized the Council wasn't ready for us. Lou took over the explanation. So we decided to observe from a distance. We built ships like Wanderer specifically for long-range reconnaissance. Their mission: catalog all spacefaring species, assess technological levels, and determine if contact would be safe. Safe for whom? Yara asked. For everyone, Lou said simply. Humans have a saying: an armed society is a polite society. We've learned that showing our full capabilities often prevents conflict. If others know we can defend ourselves, they're less likely to attack. But you're not interested in conquest? Ross pressed. Harris laughed. It was a warm sound. Ross, if we wanted conquest, we'd have started already. Earth's environment shaped us into survivors, not conquerors. We build strong defenses because we've learned the universe is dangerous, not because we want to dominate it. Tell us about Earth, Ross requested. Our scans show extreme conditions. Lou nodded. Earth is classified as a class 12 death world by most standards. High gravity, reactive atmosphere, intense solar radiation, frequent asteroid impacts, and weather patterns that can shift from calm to catastrophic in hours. She pulled up images of Earth. Hurricanes swirled over oceans, volcanic eruptions lit up mountain ranges, and blizzards buried entire regions. This is where your species evolved? The science officer asked, incredulous. This is where we thrived, Harris corrected. Earth's challenges forced us to innovate. When asteroids threatened our planet, we developed defensive systems. When our environment tried to kill us, we built shelters that could withstand anything. Every piece of human technology exists because we needed it to survive. Your materials science must be extraordinary, one of the Vrak scientists observed. It had to be, Lou agreed. We couldn't rely on finding rare elements or perfect conditions. We learned to make what we needed from what we had. That philosophy carried over into our spacecraft. She displayed schematics of human ships. Every vessel is overbuilt with redundant systems and fail-safes. If something breaks, there are 3 backup options. If those fail, there are manual overrides. Ross studied the designs. They were so different from Council ships. Where Council vessels were efficient and elegant, human ships were robust and aggressive. The Wanderer disabled our battle group with minimal effort. The Wanderer was designed for worst-case scenarios, Harris explained. Deep space is hostile. Black holes, gamma-ray bursts, rogue planets, and potentially hostile aliens. We built it to survive anything and defend itself without escalating to lethal force. Why show restraint? Yara wondered. You clearly have the advantage. Because strength without wisdom is just violence, Lou answered. Humanity learned that lesson the hard way. Our own history is filled with wars, conflicts over resources, territory, and ideology. We nearly destroyed ourselves several times. What saved us was learning when not to use our power. Harris leaned forward. When Wanderer encountered her battle group, it had 3 options: flee, fight, or disable. Fleeing would have made us look weak. Fighting would have killed your people. Disabling proved our capabilities while preserving life. It was the most logical choice. Logical. Ross repeated. You make it sound simple. It is simple, Harris said. Life is valuable. Destroying it should be a last resort, not a first response. The conference continued for hours. The humans shared information about their technology, their society, and their goals. In return, Ross explained council history, structure, and the benefits of membership. Ambassador Liu asked thoughtful questions. How does the council handle disputes between members? We have diplomatic channels and, if necessary, arbitration courts, Ross explained. Violence between member species is forbidden. Violators face economic sanctions and military intervention. And what about defense against external threats? Harris inquired. Each member maintains their own defense forces, but we have mutual defense pacts. If one member is attacked, others respond. Ross hesitated. Though I'll admit, recent events have exposed weaknesses in our military doctrine. You mean the Wanderer incident? Harris said. Yes, Ross admitted. Our weapons were completely ineffective. If you had been hostile, the outcome would have been catastrophic. Then perhaps we can help each other. Liu suggested. You have extensive diplomatic networks and knowledge of thousands of species. We have defensive technology and experience surviving hostile environments. Together, we could make the galaxy safer for everyone. Ross felt hope stirring. You'd be willing to share your technology? Within reason, Harris qualified. We're not going to hand over weapons of mass destruction, but defensive systems, materials science, power generation. Yes, we can share those. In exchange, we'd like access to council databases, cultural exchanges, and formal diplomatic recognition. I believe the council would find those terms acceptable, Ross said carefully. But I must warn you, some members will fear your military capabilities. Then we'll have to prove our intentions through actions. Liu said, words are cheap. Trust is earned. The meeting concluded with an agreement to continue discussions. As the council delegation prepared to return to their ship, Harris walked Ross to the airlock. Dr. Ross, may I ask you something personal? Of course, Ross replied. When you first saw the Wanderer defeat your battle group, what did you think? Ross considered the question. I thought we had encountered something beyond our understanding, something that could destroy us if it chose to. Harris nodded. And now? Now, Ross smiled slightly. I think we've encountered potential allies who understand that true strength includes knowing when not to fight. Good answer. Harris extended his hand again, and Ross shook it more confidently this time. Safe travels, Dr. Ross, and tell your Chancellor, humanity is ready to join the galactic community. As the shuttle returned to Seeker, Ross watched Earth recede behind them. Somewhere down there, billions of humans lived on a planet that would kill most species. They had survived, thrived, and reached for the stars without losing their compassion. High Chancellor Drex was going to have strong opinions about this, but Ross suspected that humanity's addition to the Council might be exactly what the galaxy needed. 6 weeks after Ross's expedition returned, the Council chambers buzzed with heated debate. Drex stood at his podium, trying to maintain order while representatives shouted over each other. They're too powerful, a Kelton counselor argued. Adding them to the Council would upset the balance. They've already demonstrated peaceful intentions, Ross countered. They could have destroyed Battle Group 7, but chose restraint. This time, someone else interjected. What about next time? Admiral Brent raised his voice above the din. I've reviewed their technological data. If humanity wanted to conquer us, we couldn't stop them. The fact that they're asking to join diplomatically proves they want cooperation, not domination. Drex finally restored order. The proposal is clear. Humanity requests Council membership in exchange for technology, sharing, and mutual defense agreements. Those in favor? The vote was close, but ultimately passed. 23 species voted yes, 17 voted no. Humanity would become the 41st member of the Galactic Council. 3 months later, formal induction ceremonies began. High Chancellor Drex traveled to Earth personally, accompanied by a delegation of 50 representatives. Their shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, and the delegates got their first real look at the human homeworld. Cities sprawled across continents, their lights visible, even during daylight. Massive agricultural zones fed billions. Industrial complexes churned out goods on scales that made Council factories look primitive, but it was the defensive installations that truly impressed them. Orbital platforms bristled with weapons designed to intercept asteroids. Ground-based launch facilities stood ready to respond to any threat. The humans had fortified their entire planet. They've turned their world into a fortress, Yara observed. Can you blame them? Ross replied. Look at the asteroid belt. One wrong trajectory and their cities would be destroyed. The shuttle landed at a facility in a region humans called Geneva. Drex and his delegation emerged to find thousands of humans gathered. They cheered and waved, their enthusiasm infectious. Ambassador Liu greeted them personally. High Chancellor, welcome to Earth. She gestured to the city behind her. We're honored to host the council. Drex inclined his head. The honor is ours. Your world is. Impressive. The ceremonies lasted 3 days. Human leaders gave speeches about cooperation and shared futures. Council members responded with diplomatic platitudes. But the real work happened in private meetings between military and scientific teams. Admiral Brent found himself in a secure facility with General Harris and several human engineers. They stood before a massive holographic display showing ship designs. These are our standard frigate-class vessels. One engineer, a woman named Sarah, explained, compared to council ships of similar size, they have 40% more armor, twice the power generation, and redundant systems for every critical function. Why so much redundancy? Brent asked. Because Earth taught us that everything fails eventually, Harris answered. If your primary systems can't handle a failure, you die. If your backup systems can't handle a failure, you die. We build with the assumption that at least half our systems will be damaged in any serious engagement. Sarah pulled up interior schematics. Notice the compartmentalization. If one section is breached, it seals automatically. The crew can survive in isolated pockets and continue fighting. Weave. Had vessels lose 60% of their hull and still complete their missions. Brent studied the designs with growing appreciation. Your materials must be extraordinary. They are, Sarah confirmed. Our hull alloys are carbon titanium composites reinforced with synthetic diamond weaving. It's expensive, but it stops virtually everything. We also use reactive armor that disperses energy weapons and ablative layers for heat dissipation. And you're willing to share these specifications? Brent asked. Harris nodded. Defensive technology, yes. We want council members to be able to protect themselves. What we won't share are our offensive weapons. Those remain human exclusive. Fair enough, Brent agreed. Though I'm curious, how powerful are your offensive systems? Powerful enough that we hope you never have to find out, Harris said with a slight smile. Meanwhile, in another facility, civilian scientists from both sides exchanged information. Ross sat with Dr. Patricia Way, a human xenobiologist, discussing evolutionary biology. Your species' development is fascinating. Way said, most intelligence-capable species evolve in relatively stable environments. Humanity had to adapt to constant change. How did that shape your psychology? Ross asked. Way pulled up comparative data. Humans are exceptionally good at pattern recognition and threat assessment. We had to be. Our ancestors who couldn't predict where the next danger came from didn't survive to reproduce. She showed brain scans. Notice the enlarged amygdala and prefrontal cortex. We're wired for both emotional response and rational override. Meaning we can be very aggressive when threatened, but we can also consciously choose not to be. Way explained, that capacity for self-control is crucial. Without it, our technological advancement would have led to self-destruction. Ross nodded thoughtfully. Your planet nearly destroyed itself several times, according to your histories. Multiple times. Way confirmed. Nuclear weapons, biological warfare, environmental collapse. We came close to extinction at least 3 times in our recent history. What saved us each time was choosing cooperation over conflict. And that's why you build such powerful defenses. Ross suggested, not to attack, but to make attack pointless. Exactly. Way smiled. If everyone knows you can defend yourself, they're more likely to negotiate. The cultural exchanges proved equally enlightening. Humans demonstrated their art, music, and literature. Council members were surprised by the emotional depth and complexity. Human stories often dealt with moral ambiguity, internal conflict, and the struggle between duty and desire. Your narratives are dark, a Vrac scholar observed during a literature discussion. Ambassador Liu laughed. We call it realism. Life isn't simple. People aren't purely good or evil. Our stories reflect that complexity. But there's always hope. Another human, a teacher named Robert, added, even in our darkest tales, there's usually a thread of hope. The idea that things can get better if we work for it. The delegation also toured human cities. They saw the integration of nature and technology. Parks and green spaces woven through urban centers. Water recycling systems that captured every drop. Energy grids. Powered by fusion reactors that humans had perfected decades ago. You've achieved remarkable sustainability, Yara noted. Most industrial societies struggle with resource management. We had no choice, Lou explained. Earth has finite resources. We learned to recycle everything because waste meant death. That efficiency extended to our space operations. On the final day of ceremonies, Drex stood before the United Earth Assembly, humanity's governing body. Representatives from every human nation filled the chamber. The diversity was astounding. Hundreds of different skin tones, features, and cultural dress. People of Earth, Drex began. On behalf of the Galactic Council, I formally welcome humanity as our 41st member species. He paused as cheers erupted. You bring strength, innovation, and a perspective shaped by survival. We look forward to growing together. General Harris responded. High Chancellor, humanity accepts this honor with humility and determination. We pledge to defend Council members as we defend our own, to share our knowledge for the common good, and to stand against any threat to peaceful civilization. The chamber erupted in applause. Later, as the Council delegation prepared to return home, Drex walked with Ross through a human garden. Earth's sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and purples. Do you think we made the right decision? Drex asked quietly. Ross watched a group of human children playing nearby. They laughed and chased each other without fear. Yes, he said firmly. Humanity could have remained hidden, or they could have imposed their will by force. Instead, they chose to join us as equals. That choice reveals their character. They're still dangerous, Drex observed. So are we all, Ross replied. The question isn't whether they have power. It's how they choose to use it. And from what I've seen, they choose wisely. Integration happened faster than anyone expected. Within 6 months of joining the Council, human advisors worked alongside military planners on 40 different worlds. Their defensive technologies were being studied, adapted, and slowly implemented across Council fleets. Officer Lila found herself assigned to the Human Liaison Program. She worked directly with Captain Reed, commander of the Wanderer, learning human protocols and teaching Council procedures in return. They met regularly aboard a joint operation station orbiting a Council diplomatic world. Your coffee is terrible, Reed said one morning, making a face at the brown liquid the station dispensary provided. Lila chirped with amusement, her species' equivalent of laughter. You humans are obsessed with that drink. It's not obsession, it's necessity, Reed insisted. Earth coffee has actual flavor. This tastes like recycled engine coolant. How would you know what engine coolant tastes like? Lila challenged. Reed grinned. Long story. Involves a dare and too much alcohol. Their easy banter had developed over months of working together. Lila found humans refreshingly direct compared to the diplomatic doublespeak common in Council chambers. They said what they meant and meant what they said. Speaking of the Wanderer, Lila changed subjects. I've been studying her capabilities. The precision of your weapons during the Battle Group 7 incident was remarkable. How do you target individual systems? Reed pulled up schematics on his datapad. Quantum-level sensors. We can detect the electromagnetic signature of every circuit, every power conduit. Our targeting AI calculates which systems to disable for maximum effect with minimum harm. That level of control seems excessive for exploration, Lila observed. The Wanderer isn't just an exploration vessel, Reed admitted. She's also a first contact ship. When you meet unknown species, you need to be ready for anything. Overwhelming defensive capability combined with precise non-lethal options gives us flexibility. And the offensive options? Lila asked carefully. Reed's expression grew serious. We hope we never need them. But yes, Wanderer can defend herself lethally if required. Every human ship can. Their conversation was interrupted by an alert. Admiral Brent's face appeared on the communication screen. All Council vessels. Priority alert. Battle Group 4 is under attack in Sector 12. Unknown hostiles. All nearby ships respond immediately. Reed was already moving. Lila, contact the Wanderer. Emergency protocol. Already. On it. Lila's fingers flew across her console. Captain, the Wanderer is 40 light-years from Sector 12. Response time, 6 hours at maximum speed. We can do better. Reed headed for the docking bay. Come on. You wanted to see what human ships can really do. Lila followed, her heart's pounding. She'd never been in combat. Council ships rarely face serious threats anymore. The galaxy had been peaceful for decades. They reached the docking bay where the Wanderers sat. Even docked, the ship was impressive. 300 meters of reinforced hull, bristling with sensor arrays and concealed weapon ports. Reed led her through corridors she'd never seen before. Deep into ship's core, they reached the bridge. The human crew was already at stations. They moved with practiced efficiency, no wasted motion. Reed took the command chair. Status, all systems green. The tactical officer, a man named David, reported, weapons charged, shields at maximum. Engineering reports we can push. Engines to 120% for short duration. Do it, Reed ordered. Navigation, plot fastest course to Sector 12. I don't care if we have to skip through a star's corona to get there. Battle Group 4 needs help now. The Wanderer launched from the station. Lila felt the acceleration press her into her seat. Normal Council ships accelerated gradually. Human ships apparently didn't believe in gentle. For hours to intercept, the navigator announced, "Make it 3. Reed said, "I want every ounce of speed this ship has." They pushed through hyperspace at velocities Lila had never experienced. The ship's inertial dampeners worked overtime to keep the crew from being crushed. Still, she felt the pressure. Reed noticed her discomfort. Sorry about the ride. Human ships are built for this kind of stress. We tend to forget other species aren't. I'm fine, Lila insisted, though her vision was graying at the edges. David handed her a device. Wear this. It'll help with the G-forces. The device helped. As they raced towards Sector 12, Reed pulled up tactical data. Battle Group 4 consists of 8 cruisers. Standard Council loadout. They're facing, he paused, 16 hostile vessels of unknown configuration. 16, Lila breathed. They're outnumbered 2-1. Quantity isn't everything, Reed said. Let's see what we're dealing with. 3 hours later, the Wanderer dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Sector 12. The scene before them was chaos. Battle. Group 4 was scattered, their formation broken. Several ships showed heavy damage. The hostile fleet pressed their advantage. Tactical analysis. Reed ordered. David worked quickly. Hostiles are using plasma-based weapons. Moderate shielding. Their tactics suggest a remnant pirate fleet. Probably opportunists hitting what they thought was an easy target. Are they attacking civilians? Reed asked. Negative. This is purely military engagement, David confirmed. Then we follow protocol. Reed opened a channel. Battle Group 4. This is the Wanderer. We're moving to assist. Hold your positions. The response came from Battle Group 4's commander, a Kelton named Dura. Wanderer, thank the stars. We've lost 2 ships. 5 more are heavily damaged. We can't hold much longer. You won't have to, Reed assured her. He turned to his crew. Tactical. Paint all hostile vessels. I want targeting solutions for non-lethal disablement. Captain, David hesitated. There are 16 targets and 1 of us. Even with our capabilities, those odds are significant. Reed smiled. Then let's even them up. He activated the ship-wide intercom. All hands, combat stations. This is not a drill. We're going to show these pirates why attacking Council vessels was a mistake. The Wanderer accelerated toward the battle. The hostile fleet noticed the newcomer and diverted 4 ships too. Intercept. 4 bogies inbound, David reported. They're firing. Plasma bolts streaked toward the Wanderer. The human ship didn't even raise shields. The shot struck its hull and dissipated harmlessly. Our turn, Reed said calmly. Tactical. Disable those 4 ships. Non-lethal force. The Wanderer's weapons ports opened. For precise energy, pulses lanced out. Each struck a different hostile vessel. Within seconds, all 4 ships went dark, drifting in space. Aboard Battle Group 4's flagship, Commander Vera watched in amazement. They just neutralized 4 ships in under 10 seconds. The remaining hostile vessels hesitated. They just watched their comrades disabled by a single opponent. The pirate commander apparently decided that discretion was the better part of valor. The remaining 12 ships turned to flee. They're running, David noted. Let them, Reed said. Our mission is to protect Battle Group 4, not hunt pirates. He opened a channel. Commander Zura, this is Captain Reed. What's your status? Wanderer, we have casualties, but all surviving ships are stable, Zura replied. Your arrival changed everything. Thank you, that's what allies do, Reed said simply. We're transmitting medical teams to assist with your wounded, and Wanderer will escort you back to the nearest council station. Over the next hours, human medical teams worked alongside council doctors. Lila watched them operate. They were gentle with alien physiology they'd only studied theoretically, careful and thorough. One human medic, a woman named Rachel, worked on a wounded Vrak soldier. You're going to be fine, she assured him in accented but understandable Vraks. The damage looks worse than it is. You speak my language? The soldier asked, surprised. I studied it, Rachel explained. Figured if I'm going to work with council members, I should be able to talk to them. Later, as the Wanderer escorted Battle Group 4 to safety, Commander Zura requested a private communication with Captain Reed. Captain, I owe you an apology, Zura said. When humanity joined the council, I voted against it. I feared your power, and now. Reed asked, now I'm grateful you're on our side. Zero admitted. You could have destroyed that hostile fleet. Instead, you disabled them and let them flee. That speaks to your character. We fight to protect, not to kill, Reed said. That's what humanity learned from our own bloody history. Power without restraint is just tyranny. As the Wanderer completed its escort mission, Lila sat beside Reed on the bridge. You know, she said quietly, when the council first encountered your ship, we were terrified. I know, Reed acknowledged. We're not terrified anymore, Lila continued. We're grateful. News of the Wanderer's intervention spread throughout council space within days. What had been skepticism transformed into cautious admiration. Human vessels were no longer viewed as potential threats, but as the galaxy's newest guardians. High Chancellor Drex called a special council session 3 weeks after the incident. Representatives from all 41 member species gathered. The chamber hummed with conversation. Order. Drex called. The room fell silent. We gather to discuss humanity's role in council defense. Recent events have proven their value as allies. I propose we formalize their defensive responsibilities. Admiral Brent stepped forward. Our joint military exercises have been enlightening. Human tactical doctrine emphasizes minimal casualties and maximum precision. They've shared defensive technologies that will upgrade our entire fleet. I recommend establishing permanent human advisory positions in all regional defense commands. The vote was nearly unanimous. Only 3 species abstained. Humanity's integration was complete. 6 months later, the changes were evident throughout council space. Human-designed shield generators protected colony worlds. Joint patrol vessels combined council diplomatic expertise with human defensive capabilities. The galaxy felt safer. Captain Reed stood in the Wanderer's observation deck, watching a binary star system rotate slowly in the distance. The ship had resumed its original mission, cataloging the galaxies, civilizations, but now it did so as an official council vessel. Lila joined him. She'd requested permanent assignment to the Wanderer. Her expertise in council protocols complemented the human crew's tactical skills. Beautiful, isn't it? Reed said without turning. Magnificent, Lila agreed. I never imagined I'd see so much of the galaxy. That's the dream that drives exploration. Reed mused, wanting to see what's beyond the next star. Is that why humans built the Wanderer? Lila asked. Just to see what's out there? Reed considered the question. Partly, but also because we needed to know. Earth is isolated in the galactic arm. We had no idea if we were alone or if there were thousands of civilizations. The Wanderer was our answer to that question. And what did you find? We found the Council. Reed smiled. 40 species working together, mostly peacefully. It gave us hope. If that many different civilizations could cooperate, maybe humanity could join them. You could have just announced yourselves, Lila pointed out, after your forces shot at our first contact vessels. Reed shook his head. We learned to observe first, understand second, and approach third. That caution probably saved lives on both sides. Their conversation was interrupted by an alert. David's voice came through the intercom. Captain, we're receiving a distress signal. Automated beacon from an uncharted system. Reed and Lila rushed to the bridge. The crew was already analyzing the signal. It's old, David reported. The encoding is ancient, pre-council era, like the frequency, the Wanderer. Originally used, Lila realized. Exactly like it, David confirmed. Captain, this might be another human vessel. Reed felt a chill. That's impossible. We've accounted for every human ship ever built. Then it's not human, David said, but it's using human design technology, or technology that predates both our civilizations. Reed made a decision. Plot a course, we investigate, and transmit our findings back to both Earth and Council Command. If there's something out there older than the Council, everyone needs to know. The Wanderer jumped to hyperspace. 3 days later, they emerged in an uncharted system. What they found defied explanation. A massive structure floated in the void between planets. It was clearly artificial, built from materials that sensors couldn't identify. The distress beacon originated from within. Size? Reed asked. Approximately 50 kilometers in length, David reported. Power signature is minimal but present. Whatever this is, it's still partially functional. Life signs? None detected. But the structure's composition might be blocking our scans. Reed opened a channel to both Earth Defense and Council Command. This is Captain Reed of the Wanderer. We've discovered an artificial structure of unknown origin in uncharted space. Transmitting coordinates and sensor data. Recommend immediate scientific expedition. Dr. Ross's face appeared on the screen. He was aboard a Council research vessel 2 weeks away. Captain Reed, hold position. Do not approach the structure until we arrive with proper analysis equipment. Understood. Reed acknowledged. We'll maintain safe distance and continue passive scanning. Over the next 2 weeks, the Wanderer cataloged every detail of the mysterious structure. It was clearly ancient, possibly millions of years old. The design suggested a technology far beyond anything humans or Council species had achieved. When Dr. Ross's research vessel arrived, accompanied by 3 human science ships and 2 Council military escorts, the full investigation began. Teams from multiple species worked together, examining the structure from every angle. Human engineers marveled at the construction. Council archaeologists compared it to ancient texts. Everyone agreed. This was something unprecedented. Ambassador Liu arrived personally, along with High Chancellor Drex. They met aboard the Wanderer to discuss findings. The structure predates all known civilizations, Dr. Ross explained. We're talking about something built when our ancestors were still crawling out of oceans or forests. What was its purpose? Drex asked. Based on preliminary scans, a human scientist named Angela reported, we believe it was an archive, a repository of knowledge. The distress beacon was automatic, triggered by our presence. Almost like it was waiting to be found. Waiting for who? Liu wondered. For anyone capable of understanding it. Reed suggested. For civilizations advanced enough to recognize what they were seeing. Should we enter? Drex asked. The group exchanged glances. This decision would affect the entire galaxy. Yes, Reed said firmly. Knowledge is meant to be shared. If there's information inside that can help our civilizations, we have a responsibility to retrieve it. Agreed, Drex said. But we do this together. Human and Council teams, working jointly. Whatever we find belongs to everyone. The first expedition entered the structure 3 days later. Reed led the human team. Lila led the Council delegation. What they found inside would change the galaxy forever. The interior was a vast library. Not books or data crystals, but something far more advanced: holographic storage that projected information directly into the minds of viewers. Histories of civilizations that rose and fell millions of years before. Technologies beyond current understanding. Maps of the entire galaxy, including regions unexplored. In the central chamber, they found a message. It played automatically, projected in languages they could understand. "Greetings, young civilizations." The message began. "We are the architects. Long ago, we seeded the galaxy with life and left these repositories for those who would follow. You have found this archive because you have achieved cooperation between different species. That is the first requirement for true galactic civilization." The message continued. "We built this place to help guide you, to warn you of dangers we faced, to share knowledge we accumulated. Use it wisely. Build together. Protect each other. The galaxy is vast and contains both wonders and terrors. Face them united, not divided." The message faded. Reed and Lila looked at each other. They knew. Lila whispered. Somehow, they knew species would eventually work together. Maybe they hoped. Reed suggested. Maybe this was their legacy, betting that future civilizations would be better than they were. Over the following months, teams explored the archive. They found advanced medical technologies that would eliminate diseases, clean energy systems that could power entire worlds, defensive technologies that made current weapons obsolete, and warnings about regions of space that should be avoided. The Council and humanity formed a joint commission to manage the archive. Knowledge was shared freely among all member species. New technologies improved life throughout the galaxy. 1 year after discovering the archive, Captain Reed stood before the Galactic Council. He'd been invited to speak about the Wanderer's mission and its unexpected discovery. When humanity built the Wanderer, Reed began. "We wanted to know if we were alone. We found the Council. Together, we found something greater. Evidence that cooperation has happened before and will happen again. The architects left us a gift, but more importantly, they left us a challenge. To be worthy of their legacy." High Chancellor Drek stood. "Captain Reed, humanity's addition to the Council was controversial at first. Some feared your power. Others doubted your intentions. But you've proven yourselves time and again, not through conquest, but through protection, not through domination, but through cooperation. On behalf of the Council, I thank you." Reed smiled. "High Chancellor, we're all in this together now. Human, Vrax, Kelton, and all the others. We're not separate species anymore. We're one galactic civilization, and together, there's nothing we can't achieve." The chamber erupted in applause. Later, aboard the Wanderer, Reed gathered his crew. "Our mission continues," he told them. "There's still so much galaxy to explore, so many civilizations to meet, so much to learn." Lila approached him after the meeting. "Where to next, Captain?" Reed pulled up a star chart. The galaxy stretched before them, vast and full of possibilities. He pointed to an unexplored region. "There. Who knows what we'll find?" "Whatever it is," Lila said confidently, "we'll face it together." The Wanderer's engines hummed to life. The ship turned toward the unknown. Behind it, the archive floated peacefully, its secrets slowly being shared across the galaxy. Ahead lay infinite possibilities. Reed settled into the command chair. "Take us out, standard survey speed. Let's see what's waiting for us," as the Wanderer jumped to hyperspace. A single thought echoed through the minds of everyone aboard. The galaxy was large, dangerous, and full of mysteries, but they would explore it together, human and alien, united in purpose. And somewhere, perhaps in dimensions beyond understanding, the architects watched and smiled. Their children had found each other. The galaxy's future looked bright.